Hi everybody! So I thought that I would take advantage of my crazy makeup and just have a little chat. I'm not sure if my get ready with me is going to come up before or after this one, potentially after. So it's a lot, but it's explained in my Who's That Pokemon collab video with Georgia. So anyway, just thought that I'd get this out of the way because I'm sure people will be like, that's a lot, and it is. But anyway, I am looking down because I have some notes, just some bullet point things, because I wanted to touch on this. I have a few no-buy related videos that I wanted to do, and one I wanted to do was talking about buying less, but also panning less. Intentionally panning things and just enjoying what I have more. So I just wanted to go through things from my little list here, and it might be a little all over the place, but I think I'll get my point across because I've had a lot of people question why I'm not panning as much, why I stopped panning as much, kind of what I've learned and what advice I'd have, and it's hard to give specific advice because it's so personal. So this is just what I've learned along the way and where I stand right now, and it's not saying that that might not change. It might very well change in the future, and there's always room to grow and change, and it's okay to go back to something if what you're currently doing isn't working out for you. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was pressure from the panning community to be the very best. I've talked about this before, but it's really true that there is a lot of pressure within the community to be good at panning, and a lot of people seem to measure being good as finishing the most things in the least amount of time, which doesn't necessarily make a person the best panner. It just means that they probably wasted quite a bit of product. That's just my opinion. I don't mean to offend anybody, or I'm not targeting anybody in particular. It's just, it really is a lot of excessive overuse of product, and that's what I felt like for me, is that I was using way too much product than I needed to because I wanted to keep showing like really insane progress. I wanted to be like, look at how good I am at panning, when that really wasn't the whole point of it, but that's what I thought the point was. I was just sort of transferring my addiction, and I never really managed it very well. It's a lot easier to just use what you need to use and use it well, instead of using so much that you are just either wiping away excess product, or you just simply have way too much on your face to manage it, so it just looks kind of sloppy and messy, and it's not as fun as being able to just use whatever you want when you want to use it, and not worrying too much about the specific amount you're using. That also goes for not hoarding things and not keeping just like the last little bits of things because I was afraid to finish it because it was limited edition, or because I didn't want to repurchase it. I'm trying to let go of that and be like, you know what, if I like something, I'm going to use it. If I really like it, if it's a staple product for me, I'll just repurchase it. That's how it should be. Letting product sit is something that I struggled with. This is something people called me out on for doing quite often when I was panning a lot, and it's true, but you also can't use everything and pan everything and be a successful panner. You kind of have to choose what you're going to do. It's impossible to use every piece of your makeup, but also pan specific products and then make a lot of progress or finish a lot of things. So you just can't do it all. So I was trying really hard to use up specific things, which meant other things were sitting for the most part and might get used like once or twice a month, as opposed to using it when I like to use it. And that was hard, especially when I was using products that I didn't like. And that's what a lot of panning ended up being, because if I panned things that I liked, I'd want to repurchase it, which would just lead to more spending and still having the product, and I wasn't finishing anything up, so it made no sense. Why would I finish something up, repurchase it, and other stuff was sitting there, but then I'd be using stuff and hating it? And I definitely went through a period where I really hate panned a lot of things, just using stuff that I either had been gifted or stuff that I purchased incorrectly or accidentally, and I was just forcing myself to use it, and I was miserable. I really hated applying that makeup, but I felt like I had to do it, and that was a really hard place to be in, and it definitely made makeup a lot less fun. Now, I've also learned to think about sunk cost as it applies to makeup. I've talked about this before in a separate video actually, but I think the concept really holds true, is that once the money is spent, in most cases the money is gone. This is not always true. Sometimes you can return things. Sometimes you might be able to resell things. I personally am not a big fan of reselling, especially used makeup. If it's brand new, okay. If you can't return it, maybe resell it to somebody, but I don't like selling makeup that has been used. There's just something about it that I personally don't like. So for me, it's a sunk cost. For me, if I have an eyeshadow palette and I've had it for 4 months, and even if I've only used it 10 times, it's a sunk cost. I don't want to resell it, and I'm not getting money back from it because I can't return it. So if I'm not using it and I don't like it, there's no point in hanging on to it. The money has been spent. It's not coming back. I have to deal with it, make smarter choices moving forward. If I've given the palette a proper chance, it's okay to let go of it. If I've given it, whatever the product is, I'm just using palettes as an example because that's what most people tend to resell, but it could really be anything. And for me, it has been everything. There are things that I will hang on to for the sake of either trying to finish it up if there's a little bit left, or stuff that I'm like, well, maybe I'll play around with it for a little bit, but I'm getting better with letting go of things, and it doesn't bother me as much as it used to because I have so much stuff. And I've just really come to that realization that it's way too much stuff that I could ever possibly use. So if something is just sort of taking up space, it needs to go. There's also considering non-monetary value of product. And by that I mean how much the product is worth to you as you use it, and not how much you actually paid for it, because you kind of have to let that go after a point. It's like if you spend $100 on a product but you hate it, and you hate looking at it, and you just feel miserable every time you put it on your face, and you can't give it away, and you can't resell it, get rid of it. Get rid of it. If you love something that's $2, love it. But I think sometimes people hold too much value onto that actual dollar amount, even though the money's already been spent, and it doesn't matter if it was a gift, if it was PR, if it was something you personally bought, doesn't matter. Whatever it is, you can't really apply that value to it anymore once there is no value there. Your value is very personal. For me, some products that I spent a lot of money on are worth that plus because I use it so often and I love using it. So it really becomes invaluable to me, and I just sort of think of things differently, and I don't hold so much onto what something originally cost. Like, I've definitely been able to declutter some of the higher end luxury things I have because I ended up really not liking it, or they irritated me. Stuff that I spent $40, $50 on, that's like, this seems like such a waste, but it was also just being a waste sitting on the shelf collecting dust. So either it was being disposed of or given away or whatever the case may be, or it was just sitting there taking up space and I hated looking at it because I knew I was never going to use it. I've also started to repeat things a lot. This never used to happen with me when I panned because I always tried to rotate around so I wouldn't get bored. Because when you're using a very select amount of product, it could get boring really fast because you have nowhere else to go. It's like you're using the same eyeshadow, same blush, same lipstick, same everything every single day. So boring unless you find a way to rotate around. And I've actually, now that I'm not panning, I've just started doing a lot of the same things. Sometimes I'm like, I really like this particular eye look. I will wear that eye look for 3 or 4 days in a row. If that's what I like, that's what I like. But I know I have the freedom to switch stuff up if I want to. I'm not focusing on trying to hit pan on anything. I'm not focusing on trying to finish any particular product. So I'm just playing with stuff. And if I get sort of into a rut, I'm in a rut, and I try and learn from it as well, where it's like, you know what, I'm not going to fight this. If I just want to wear a gold eye every day and a nude lipstick, I'm going to do that. That's what makes me feel good. All right, there's nothing wrong with it. And I feel like sometimes people feel like if you have a lot of makeup, you have to use something different every single day. I don't think that's necessarily true. If you are just using what you have, you can do it however you want to do it. And for me personally, right now, it goes back and forth from either something completely different every single day or the exact same thing every single day, right down to the exact same products applied the exact same way. And I don't mind it. I'm not bored by it. I enjoy applying my makeup in the morning. It's sometimes pretty quick, but it makes me happy. Sometimes I'm just like, you know what, I want to be sunny. And that's kind of been the thing it's been the last couple of days. I've been like, I want to be a little sunnier. And it's because there's so much, you know, snow and grossness outside that all I want is to put on gold and orange and yellow eyeshadow. And I've been wearing that exact same thing every day, but it's made me happy. I've also sort of been paying attention to people who apply makeup more normally than people who apply makeup on YouTube and Instagram and are more dramatic and really do sort of crazy, weird things all the time. It's interesting watching the habits of people, thinking about brand loyalty. If you go to a place like a drugstore or like a Walmart and you can see the beauty section and what kind of products people gravitate towards, and not a lot of people are actually there browsing and just like picking up whatever strikes their fancy. They're like repurchasing things that they love, that they're loyal to, and a lot of people have just that select handful of things that they use, and it's kind of interesting to me. I'll never be like that because I have so many different things that it's fun for me to experiment and play with stuff, but I like learning from people like that who have their core favorite things and they're not afraid to do the repetitive looks. They're not afraid to have their signature style, and I really have come to admire and appreciate that when I was really kind of judgy and pretty condescending about it because I didn't understand it and I didn't really get it. Like, I was like, how can you like makeup but not play with makeup? And there's so many different ways to enjoy makeup, to enjoy applying makeup and wearing it. It doesn't have to be something formulaic. It doesn't have to be something boring, but it can be something reliable. It can be something that's just a part of your day that you rely on, and it's very interesting to me, and I've been learning a lot more from other people and learning a lot more for myself and what my preferences have been and how they've been changing, and you know, applying less base makeup and not being afraid to like let certain things peek out from underneath. And it's definitely been freeing, even going in places completely makeup free. I mean, completely. Maybe a little bit of concealer for like certain red spots, but like no mascara, no eyeshadow, no eyeliner, just barefaced. And even if I felt really exposed, it was really good for me to do that and just be like, yeah, you know what? I can like my face the way that it is without a ton of makeup like this. Like, I don't usually look like this at all because I'm not wearing this amount of makeup, but it's still fun to do it. And I've just been learning a lot, and I'm glad I'm not panning because I feel like it was really restrictive for me and I wasn't able to learn as much about my makeup preferences on a larger scale because I was so focused on such a specific amount of things, and now I'm being able to be broader with that, and that's really been helpful. And I don't really want to feel restricted by the panning anymore, at least not at this moment. I like little panning projects, but in general I kind of like picking up a few products and working on them slowly and not focusing on panning as fast as I can within like a specific deadline. I just feel like that moment has kind of passed for me. I've learned what I can from it right now, and I don't see what I can learn from it right now at this particular moment in time. So I hope that answered some questions. I hope that was somewhat interesting because I've had a lot of people ask about no-buys and the panning and everything else. I do want to talk about my no-buy journey specifically and how that's been going. I will say, spoiler alert, it's been going really well. I haven't purchased anything, so I have a lot more to talk about, but I will save that for a separate video. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns. If you're doing a no-buy, how's it going? If you have learned anything along the way, have you gone from panning to a no-buy or a low-buy, or have you gone from a no-buy, low-buy to panning? Maybe that's a different journey that would be interesting as well, different perspective. Anyway, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope we get a chance to chat soon. Bye for now.